Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome, my dear students, to the second part of lesson number 1 and 2. This lesson will be lesson number 2. At first, I want to read all the text to remind you of the main ideas. Then we can do other tasks and we can continue doing the practices in your course books. Practice number A, B, and C. So first of all, let's read the text. Great failures. Great scientists, world leaders, famous writers, singers, and film stars all have a special talent. They are all specially good at something. Millions of pages are written about them in books, magazines, and in newspapers. But what about those who are specially bad at something? This page is for them. The worst driver in the world. This title is proudly claimed by a British woman who had 212 driving lessons, but couldn't pass her driving test. She failed her test 38 times in 8 years. Her 39th test was not so bad, and she would have passed if she hadn't driven through a red light. She finally passed the test a month later. The longest failure to return a borrowed book. Many of us are slow to return things that we have borrowed. But first prize must go to Mr. M. Dodds, who borrowed a book from a library in 1823. He was supposed to return it 3 weeks later, but the book was not returned until 1968. Mr. Dodd's grandson, who returned the book, explained, "My grandfather was going to return it, but he died. I should have returned it earlier, but I kept forgetting." The least successful weather report. A radio presenter in Saudi Arabia once announced, "We're sorry that we can't give you the weather forecast. We received the weather forecasts from the airport, which is closed because of the bad weather." The announcement ended, "If the weather improves, we will give you the forecast tomorrow." The worst burglar. A burglar broke into a house in Paris and stole a video and some silver. He was just going to leave when he felt hungry. In the kitchen, he found some of his favorite cheese. If he had left then, he would have been all right. But the kitchen was full of good things, which he ate quickly. After a time, he felt very sick. He wished he had not eaten so much so quickly, and he lay down. The next thing he saw was a police officer. He had been asleep for 5 hours. The unluckiest lion. When a lion escaped from a circus in Italy, people screamed and ran. Then the lion saw a small boy and ran after him. That was a big mistake. The boy's mother was a big, strong woman, and the lion soon wished it had left the boy alone. It spent the next 3 weeks in an animal hospital and was afraid of women and small children for the rest of its life. Now, after reading this text, we can repeat the main ideas of the text. So this text is a humorous text, and the title and subtitles are very unusual. The pictures show humorous situations, and the style of the pictures is not serious. Here we have to move these things because we had done these things earlier. Yes, now we have reached here the main ideas. Group number 1, or the text number 1, the worst driver in the world. This is the title of this text. Number 2, who or what is the story about? The story was about a British woman. And the third question, what are the main details? 212 driving lessons and 39 failed driving tests. And finally, this woman, she passed her test. The following text, which has the title of the longest failure. Yeah. The longest failure to return a borrowed book. Who or what is the story about? The story was about Mr. M. Dodd. What are the main details? A book borrowed in 1823 and not returned until 1968. And Mr. Dodd died, so his grandson returned the book. Now, group number 3, the least successful weather report. Saudi Arabian radio presenter. This is the main story. So the presenter could not give the weather forecast because the airport was closed, and he said that he would give the forecast the next day. Number 4, the worst burglar. The main story was about a burglar in Paris. He broke into a house, found some cheese, ate too much and fell asleep. So after that, a policeman arrived. And finally, the unluckiest lion. The story was about a circus lion in Italy. The lion escaped and ran after the small boy. Then the boy's mother attacked the lion. The lion was in hospital for 3 weeks. It was afraid of women and small children for the rest of its life. Now, after reading, let's do exercises in our course or workbooks. Practice number 1. Look at the text Great Failures on course book on page 43. Complete these sentences about the stories. We have just read the text or the text which has the title of Great Failures on our course book on page 43. So now we want to complete the sentences. The worst driver in the world. The first text. Number 1. The woman passed the test after trying 39 times. Yes. So the first space has the word 39. 2. She should not have driven through a red light. Red light. Now let's move to the second paragraph or the second text. The longest failure to return a borrowed book. 3. The book was 145 years late. 145 years late. It should have been returned after 3 weeks. Now the following text, the least successful weather report. The presenter would have given the forecast if the airport had been open. If the airport had been open. The worst burglar. The burglar ate too much quickly. The burglar ate too much too quickly. When he lay down, he shouldn't have closed his eyes. When he lay down, he should not have closed his eyes. And finally, the unluckiest lion. Everyone was afraid of the lion except the boy's mother. If the woman hadn't hit the lion, the boy might have been killed. So, if the woman had not hit the lion, the boy might have been killed. Now, after doing this exercise, we can see the answers. Here, my students, you can write these answers in your books. Now, after doing this exercise, let's move to the following one, exercise number B. In each case, which explanation is correct? Circle A or B. In each case, which explanation is correct? Circle A or B. Number 1. He was supposed to return it 3 weeks later. The first sentence A. He didn't want to return it 3 weeks later. The library expected him to return it 3 weeks later. So here, the sentence number B is correct. We have to choose the sentence number B. Number 2. My grandfather was going to return it. Number A. My grandfather wanted to return it. Number B. My grandfather will return it. So the correct sentence is number A. My grandfather wanted to return it. 3. I kept forgetting. I kept forgetting. A. I forgot many times. Number B. I forgot to keep it. No. The correct one is number A. I forgot it many times. Number 4. I broke into a house. A. I damaged a house. B. I went into a house. Number B is the correct sentence. I went into a house. And number 5. The lion soon wished it had left the boy alone. A. The lion was soon sorry that it had run after the boy. Or the lion wanted to leave the boy alone. So number A is the correct answer. After doing these sentences, these are the answers. Number 1 is the correct answer is number B. For 2, number A. For 3, number A. For 4, number B. And for the last sentence, number 5, or the last practice number 5, we have number A. Now practice number C. Do you agree with these statements? Write your opinion about them. Give reasons and examples. Number 1. It's important to be good at something. And number 2. When you make a mistake, you learn. So it is good to make mistakes. When you make a mistake, you learn. So it's good to make a mistake or to make mistakes. Here we have some possible answers. Having a skill makes you useful to society. It makes you more confident and happy. There are people who are not very good at anything who are very happy. For number 2, if we learn from mistakes, then more mistakes means more learning. It's a waste of time to do things wrong. If we learn from mistakes, then more mistakes means more learning. It's a waste of time to do things wrong. Now, by ending or by reaching at this point, we can end this lesson, part number 2. And finally, I want to say to everybody of you, my students, goodbye and have a good time. Thank you very much.